Hello, welcome back. This is video number 2, and I am going to put this into, instead of 3 videos, we're going to have 2 videos because I thought it'd just be easier to combine them both. So as you see here, there's 3 kinds of stresses, 3 kinds of care, easy to understand, but I want to walk you through those. 3 kinds of stresses that cause subluxation. Now subluxation, if you remember, is where that muffled message is from brain to body. And so as we began to look at this kind of stress in the body, there are 3 kinds. And we'll talk one of the key places it starts, but it's pretty basic to understand. There's physical, chemical, and emotional stresses that all lead to different forms of subluxation. And as we have different forms of subluxation in our life, these can be things that keep reoccurring, which is why in some cases you will find out that people seek chiropractic care for a lifetime because the stresses don't go away. In other words, if the stress is always present, then there needs to be a way that we do it, just like brushing our teeth, just like dental care, just like we go get our teeth cleaned. Well, I wish I could just not get plaque, but it doesn't happen that way. I wish I could just not get stressed. It just doesn't happen that way. So as long as we have these 3 kinds of stresses, there's some form of care that we need. So I'll line those up as we go. But one of the key things to understand about stress is where does the number 1 stress begin? And that number 1 stress begins at birth trauma. If I were to lay you down, turn your head, and yank you out of a tight confined area, you would have stress put on your nervous system. And with our children, it's one of the very first places it happens. Even a normal birth process can lead to stress. But then we get into these forced assisted births. So in Lubbock, Texas, where we practice here, and in teaching hospital stats, almost 70+% births are assisted in birth. And what we find today is in this microwave society, in this Insta world that we live into, it's like we want an Insta baby. We don't want to wait. We want the baby born on a certain day. We want it on grandma's birthday. We want it before I go on vacation. I need it before the wedding. I force these things versus letting nature take its course. No one's ever pregnant forever. And so as we go through this process, we find out these pretty traumatic injuries that go on with birth. And so there's a lot of stats on this. We won't labor you with those stats. We have classes on those. But this is where the very first subluxation many times happens. And when this happens in this system and it begins to clog that system down, if you ever hear a perfect storm talk, or you hear there's a webinar on our website that can go through that begins to talk what happens when the subluxation pattern starts, what all happens to kids as it goes down this road. But this is why you see so many PDs in our office, because everybody's been born. And some cases we have an adult that's their mid-20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, and they've literally been subluxated from birth on. So one of the questions is what would happen if you walked into a dental office and you've never brushed your teeth before and you're 40 years old? Would you be surprised that you have a whole set of cavities or something going on? You wouldn't be surprised at all. You'd be like, yeah, I expected that. I haven't ever brushed my teeth. And the reality of it is, if you've never had any type of spinal care before, you've never had an adjustment before, you've never done it, is it surprising that you have some sense of decay or trouble? And so as we go through your report of findings in your next visit, you're going to be able to see what's been going on in your system for a period of time. Because in a way, what we're doing as chiropractors is we're timelining how long this stress has been with you, so we can timeline the phase of care that you need to get out of trouble. Not simply just, oh, I need a little bit of pain relief, because this is a really expensive, aspirin, if you will. And so we just don't want to be an expensive aspirin. We want to get you well. So physical stresses are that. Now, after birth, we learn to walk, we learn to crawl. Kids have to learn to stop. They hit their heads. They get that little green ring around their head. They fall. Like if you and I stood up and fell down as many times as a kid learning to walk, it would be so traumatic to our body we couldn't even imagine it. Now, the chemical stresses. We all know that chemistry causes problems. Remember in video 1, when I talked about from the embryological system, the receptors form off the nervous system. So it's the things that we eat, the things that we take in, the things that we breathe that begin to stress the nervous system. If we have those things on a regular basis, we can have stress. And so these chemistry things can begin to lead to different forms of stress in our body. Now, some things cause more stress, some things cause less stress. That's based on our genetics, and a lot of the lifetime bioregulation that our body has been able to deal with that. So there's been this, in essence, bioaccumulation of all these stresses, and sometimes my body's tolerant, and sometimes it's done being tolerant and it's just over it. And so we call that reaction. And so that we eat certain things, we have a reaction. We like to tag it allergic reaction, because that's what the body is doing, is saying, hey, I'm done with this. So as you hear that that chiropractic begins to help this, what it's doing is it's calming and easing that system, beginning to create balance in the system as we begin to pull the stress mechanisms out. Emotional stress. Now, we all have this one, right? And some of us have a little more, some of us have a little less. But emotional stress, if there's emotional stress in your life, then that can lead to that. Think about it. When you get a stress, where do you grab? Your neck and your back, right? You grab it, and it's like, oh, that hurts, and everything gets tight, and everything, you can't sleep, and then you wake up not feeling rested, wake up with a sore back. And so if these things have been happening on a regular basis, as long as these three things on the left of your screen exist, then they're the three things, one of the version of the three things on the right need to exist in your life. And so I'll speak to those, right? There's three different phases of care, and one of those is just called relief care, right? And relief care is people pop in here when they hurt. It's an option. It's just not the best option. And you know, and for those that you'll be around for a while, you're going to hear me, and if you know me, you're going to hear me say, this is just not my favorite kind of care. The reason is when we run from symptom to symptom, it's like running from bank account drop to bank account drop and never talking what's happening in the middle. And so we can't, if we run from symptom to symptom, then wonder, like I have people who get adjusted and then 3 months later go, it's back. What do you mean it's back? Well, the same spot's back. Well, the accumulation of stress is back, but it's not because we failed to do our job. You've been good for 3 months, but now the stress is accumulated. So why don't we put you on a process to catch it before it causes a problem? And we can do that. So relief care is possible. It's just not the best use of what chiropractic really is. It's okay. It's just not the best. So as we get into it, we look into the two, and I like this little three phases here. This is in essence correction care, right? Acute care you can call relief, subacute care we call correction, and then we've got this wellness. And so, you know, different terminology, but I love the graph here that as the pain scales down, this is when we get in trouble. Because what happens in these first 3 to 7 days when the pain begins to scale down is that the healing begins to scale up. And so that's the process over time. So when we begin to talk about this, we want this to be a pain-free healing experience. But if we just pay attention to the symptoms we talked about, if I'm just watching the oil light in video 1, then I miss the outcome of what I'm trying to go for. So as we begin to improve the joint function and begin to do all the different process with this, you can see then there's all kinds of little things here, quantum medicine, hyperbaric, cold laser, acupuncture, sure. But you know what? Adjustments are one of the biggest things that do this, right? So as we look forward, what we're really after is that third phase, which is called wellness. And this is where we're just living in this, and this wellness-loving care. And as we begin to process this, what wellness families could really look like, they're healthy, happy families. That's what we say every single day in our office, that we're after healthy, happy families. And one of the things that we really want to do as we process this is to let people know what their options are. And so as you go in tomorrow, here's the 3 things you're going to hear. If you are a chiropractic candidate and we show you this and everything that we go about it, there's 3 things you can do. Number 1, you do nothing to hope for the best, right? You can shake our hand and say, hey, it's just not for me, it's just there. Listen, we do it, but I'm telling you this, hope is a really bad strategy, okay? But that is an option. Number 2, care plan with correction, pay as you go. That's an option, not a great option, because the idea is you just don't get as much savings. But the fact of it is you're doing a care plan with correction. If that's all you can do, it's all you can do, and I get it. Number 3, care plan with correction, but you do a financial plan and you save money. So we want to save you time, we want to save you money. That's 2 things that are precious to people. And so if we can do that, we want to put you on a financial care plan that will help you and help your family move forward. We also have a lot of family plans, so ask the front desk about those so that you can save money when your family is under care. We get that there's an idea of that, so we want to reward you for that. It's actually a pretty substantial savings. So if you're interested in this process and you think, hey, listen, I want my whole family under care, make sure and talk to them about that. Now, once you get into wellness care, there are wellness care options. And so those are even more savings as you go along, and we will introduce you that as you move forward. So thanks for listening in, and we cannot wait to show you your report of findings. Thanks for taking time to watch these. I know you'll find value in it as you move forward.